who profess to say that they are UNC, but want to discredit our leader and our great party. And never must we allow these individuals to tarnish the great work of our leader and our party. So all I ask you on Sunday the 26th November to go out in a vengeance and send a strong message to vote for Kamla Prasad Bisesa and her slate members, and always remember the symbol is the star. My brothers and sisters, long live our political leader, the member of the United National Congress family, and the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I bless you. Thank you very much.
Brothers and sisters, now you know that is why my co-chair says that's the most hard-working councillor. Let us hear it again for him. And as my MP proudly refers to him, his boss. Before I bring on the next speaker, I want to say congratulations to a dear colleague of mine. He is now the new president of the Coover Point Lisas Chamber of Commerce. I want to congratulate Councillor Ramshan Rajpal Maraj on your recent election. I want to also welcome Dr. Rudal Muninal to Pointe-a-Pierre. I want to welcome former councillor for our electoral district, Camille Govin. Now, this next speaker has been a councillor for the past 7 years and continues to serve the members. Welcome, Bellman. He continues to serve his burgesses with deep commitment. This councillor is known in council for his popular phrase, "If the low court fails, go to the high court." It is with this passion that this councillor, who is fondly known as Baba, serves his burgesses. Let us give a lusty round of applause as we welcome Councillor for Caratal Tortuga, Councillor Suresh Puran Maraj.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Mr. Chairman, Dr. David Lee, Member of Parliament for Pointe-a-Pierre, Dr. Surajatan Ramachan, Member of Parliament for Tabakit, Dr. Rudal Munilal, Member of Parliament for Rupuj, and we have Dr. Rudranath Endorsing, MP for Coover South. Ladies and gentlemen, my council colleague Gangaram Gupal said sometimes it's extremely difficult to work with some MP, but brother, let me tell all you something. To work with Dr. Ramachan is no easy thing. Dr. Ramachan don't get tired at all. And when he see work, he just get energized. And so is MP Endorsing. Them fellas don't get tired. And remember, I am a senior citizen. To keep up them fellas' pace, it's not easy. Yeah. The chairman of the corporation, Mr. Henry Awang, the Coover Tabagi Talparo Regional Corporation, councillors, aldermen, my respected brothers and sisters of the United National Congress, I bring greetings to you on behalf of the members of the Caratal Tortuga Electoral District and by extension the constituency of Tabakit. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give the assurance that members of the Caratal Tortuga and by extension again Tabakit constituency are in full support of our leader Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and she would remain as the political leader of the United National Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, she has the vision of a great leader. The only person who can take this country out of this Great Depression, my brothers and sisters, that we are in, is Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that we are in deep trouble, real trouble. And there is no signs of improvement with this present government. To improve the lives of citizens of this great nation, every ministry is in an extremely bad state. Thousands of people are on the breadline. And you don't want to get capital to work out this. What MP Endorsing said the other day in Couva South, he said, we had to look too far again. Thousands would be going home. And that is true. Thousands of people in this Trinidad and Tobago, the last count was 25,000. 25 by 4 is over 100,000 people on the breadline. They don't know where the next meal is coming from. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the time we have to stay together and support our leader, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, in this internal election. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time that we have to hold hands and move forward. Later will be too late, and sooner would have been too soon. Now is the time that we have to get together and to unite and support our leader and all the people who are in the slate with the star. We need to come out on Sunday and give full support. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the only way we will move forward. I thank you very kindly, and God bless you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my good friend has just reached here. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Baba. Thank you very much, Baba, for that wonderful speech. Brothers and sisters, in the past 2 years, we have seen crime increasing at an alarming rate. And within those figures, we've seen women come under attack day after day from the criminal elements in our country. And when they beg for help from this government, the Prime Minister turns them down. The Prime Minister rejects them. The Prime Minister says that he's not in their bedroom. But brothers and sisters, unlike Keith Rowley, Kamala Prasad Bisesa has been an inspiration to women in Trinidad and Tobago. Kamala Prasad Bisesa has been an inspiration to women within the UNC. As the political leader of the UNC, Kamala Prasad Bisesa has inspired and ensured women within Trinidad and Tobago can realize their full potential and become leaders in their own right. The next speaker is testimony to that fact. The next speaker is a woman, a mother of 2 children, and a leader within the Point-a-Pear constituency. She's the local government councillor for the Claxton Bay area. Let's welcome Nadia Khan Mohammed.
Thank you, Chairman. Brothers and sisters, as we count down the days to the internal elections of our great party, we have to contemplate the choices we have before us and the consequences of the choices we will make on November 26th. We must not have a short-term memory, but remember with gratitude what has been done, not just for us in Point-a-Pear or Tabaquite, but for the rest of the country under the great leadership of Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa. It is said loyalty is rightly due to those whom have earned our trust. Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa has definitely earned our trust and has indeed proven to be a great leader. A leader that has maintained and consistently maintains a high standard of leadership abilities. There is no doubt in my mind, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sure there is no doubt in yours as well, that this nation has achieved a great deal under this leader's stewardship. And yet, despite it all, Despite the many battles she has had to fight on numerous fronts, she has maintained a strong yet firm manner. She has kept her self-respect while defending the difficult decisions she has had to make, as all leaders do. This leader has even asked the membership to hold no ill will towards those who are running against her in this internal election. This is because she has recognized that of utmost importance that all must come together to work for the benefit of the party and the country. From her humble beginnings, when she served waiting tables in order to send herself to school, to serving as the first female Prime Minister of this country, it is indeed an honor to say that she is a role model for every woman, every young lady, and every little girl, indeed to every citizen. In 2010, we voted for change, for good governance, for delivery. And my brothers and sisters, look around you. Our leader has indeed delivered. Among the accomplishments that I want to remind all here this evening, not to forget, are the social programs like the food cards and the Children's Life Fund, the new highway, the Children's Hospital, laptops for all Form 1 students, and many more. She has indeed a battle ahead of her, but that is okay, because our leader is a fighter. She has been a fighter for her entire political career, and she has fought for the people of this country and continues to fight for the people of this country, leading our party into the future, leading our country into limitless possibilities. My UNC family, I stand here before you today and say that I am UNC and I am proud to fully support and endorse Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar for political leader of the United National Congress. I ask that you, the people of the constituency of Pointe-a-Pierre, continue to give her your full support and continued confidence in her ability to delegate and lead our great party, the United National Congress. I urge you to continue to keep the faith and be loyal to her firm leadership. Long live our party, long live our political leader, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and long live you, the people of our great country. May God bless you all, and good night. Brothers and sisters, our next speaker is a man who is known as the ITAL Councillor and Chairman. He is serving his second term as the chairman of the Couva-Tabaqui-Talparo Regional Corporation, which is the second largest regional corporation in the country, which I am sure he will mention to you all. He has been elected in 2013 as chairman and was re-elected in 2016. This councillor has been serving his burgesses of the electoral district of Piparo, San Pedro, Tabaquite with passion and dedication for the past 13 years. He is a man I am proud to call my chairman. Let us welcome on stage to bring greetings, Chairman Councillor Henry Awong.
Thank you very much, Nadia, for your warm introduction. Political leader of the United National Congress, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, Member of Parliament for Pointe-a-Pierre, the Honorable David Lee, Member of Parliament for Tabaquite, the Honorable Dr. Suriratan Rambachan, Dr. Rudy Molidal, MP for Urupuch, other members of Parliament, both in the lower and upper house, my councillor colleagues, and I think my councillor colleagues did extremely well this evening. Let's get for them. Other councillors, chairman of corporation, pleasant good evening. This country was moving full speed ahead between 2010 and 2015. The level of progress and development we were able to achieve during this period remains unprecedented, and the region of Couva-Tabaqui-Talparo was not left out of the progress. A number of projects was done in this region, number of projects throughout the region. But unfortunately, some of us took it for granted that it would continue. And if we change government, it would continue. Brothers and sisters, that is further from the truth. And we can see it today. Nothing is happening in the region of Cuba, Tabaqui, Talparo. Not one pothole is being fixed. Not one landslip repaired. And I want to tell you that recently with the big floods of the infamous Diwali floods, a number of landslips occurred throughout the region. In Indian Trail, Dr. Julian John will remember, about 3 landslips in Indian Trail, and I thought my council colleague would have mentioned that, Councillor Puran Miraj. I was driving through Karatal just now to come here, I passed through Karatal, and there are 3 major landslips in the Karatal area too. What we are doing at the corporation, we are doing the estimates to send to the ministry for assistance with funding for those landslips, to repair those landslips. But I want to tell you, it seems like a hopeless situation. It seems to be hopeless with this government in power. A number of things was happening in the region of Cuba, Tabaqui, Talparo. And as my colleague just mentioned, our corporation is one of the largest corporations in Trinidad and Trinidad. 719.6 square kilometers, a population of about 178,000 people, 14 electoral districts. Each of those electoral districts have over 10,000 electorates. That's the size of our region. And I say that because that is important on what I'm going to say now. Councillor Gangaram Gopal just called out six play parks that he was able to get for the people of his electoral district. I want to tell you, prior to 2010, not one play park was installed in the region of Cuba, Tabaqui, Talparo. Not one. And I can boast and tell you tonight, here in Macaulay, in this community center, that during the period of 2010-2015, under the People's Partnership Government, we had 23 play parks installed within the region. Some of you may have heard these figures already, but I must keep saying it over and over to let you know where we were going and where we are now. Between 2003 to 2010, I came as a councillor in 2003, 1 pavilion was constructed in this region. And I'll just give you the size of the region, how many people live in this region. 1 pavilion, and that's in Greg Street in Balmain, Cuba. I want to tell you tonight that during the period of the People's Partnership, we had 23 pavilions constructed in this region. 23. And not no little jokey pavilion, I'm going to tell you, not no cowshed kind of pavilion. Pavilion with clubhouse, air condition, well tiled. That's the kind of pavilion we were building as a government. I go to now to recreation grounds. Prior to 2010, people in this region never knew about floodlights or perimeter lighting on recreation grounds in this region, prior to 2010. And to me, sports is one of the biggest deterrent to crime. So if you encourage people and young people to get involved in sports, I'm sure the crime situation will go down. Because you know this saying, devils find work for idle hand. You know that. But I want to tell you, and they tell me how some timers are taking my time, they say we're in front of time. Not too often as get that. Right? I want to tell you, 53 recreation grounds receive floodlights or perimeter lighting in this region. 53. Prior to that, that used to only happen north of the Caroni Bridge, prior to 2010. We were paving roads because we were getting funding from the then People's Partnership Government. Under our development program during that period of time, on our roads and bridges program, we received up to $8 million to repair roads and bridges within our region. It's some plenty, but it's not very much, but we were grateful for that. You know where it's going down to now? To 4 million. If you divide 4 million by 14 councillors fighting for a little bit of it, one councillor would get 288,000 to do major development in their district on their roads and bridges. 288,000. The same thing applied for drainage. And you know Central and Cuba is prone to flooding because it's flat. We were getting 8 million also under the People's Partnership Government, and Dr. Ramachan was the minister at that time, local government. We were getting $8 million as a corporation. We're going down now under drainage to $4 million. Divide that by again by 14, 288,000. Under our recreation grounds program, and that's where we were able to do 14 play parks from the corporation. The others came working along with central government. We were getting $2 million under the People's Partnership Government. And let me tell you, we have 123 recreation grounds in this region. We are now down to $1 million under our recreation grounds program. 1 million, from 2 million, 50% less. So brothers and sisters, we were moving along fine until we make that mistake in 2015. Under the best prime minister our country had ever seen, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, Hoover got it nice, and I say MP Rudy Endorsing here. Hoover got it nice. I would have to leave home from Tabakit to go to a 9 o'clock meeting in Hoover. I would have to leave home prior to 2010 for the latest 7 o'clock to reach the Hoover for a 9 o'clock meeting. And I'll tell you why. Before the construction of the Peaceful Interchange, traffic used to back up way past Chates Bar, for those who know Balmain and so on, way past Chates Bar. So it would take me almost 2 hours to get from that point across the flyover. With the construction of the People's Interchange, which was done by the People's Partnership Government, I now could leave home at 8:15 and I'll be in Cuba for a 9 o'clock meeting. At 8:15. And all right, cool. And the aquatic center right down the road, I just want to tell you the story about the aquatic center. I went there, I was invited to a function, a swim meet. It was the Latin American swim meet, which was hosted by the association. There were over 900 athletes come to that function, to that meet. That was about sometime this year, over 900 athletes. The president of FINA is the world governing body for swimming in world governing body for swimming. When he came to speak and he brought the feature address, in his speech he said, the facility, the aquatic center, is second to none in the world. Second to none in the world. I tell you, my heart soul with pride when I heard that. So brothers and sisters, there are many yardsticks that one can use to judge a leader. The most important of these, in my humble opinion, is the social conscience of any leader. And Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar has truly showed by her policies and program that she has this in abundance. And some was mentioned, the baby milk grant, the Children Life Fund, and as I talk about the Children Life Fund, we back to raising fund via selling of cakes and barbecue. Baby Luke is from my constituency, who was refused to be given assistance under the Life Fund. Baby Luke. I purchased 2 barbecue tickets. They had a barbecue sale up in Tabakit. And I know the parents well. They mortgaged their home in order to send their child abroad for assistance. So my brothers and sisters, on November the 26th, we have a task. We must go out and support the best political leader ever of the United National Congress. We have to ensure that she wins by a landslide victory. We have one leader, we must band together, we must hold tight and support our leader. Long live the United National Congress, long live the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar.
Thank you very much, Chairman Awong. If we have to really describe and discuss the number of things that Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her government established, we'll be here for 2 to 3 days straight. But brothers and sisters, there were a few key players in that Kamala Persad government, and they're here with us tonight. In our midst, we have Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, the man who revolutionized the education sector. We have Dr. Suraj Rambachan, the best Minister of Works, and we have the best Minister of Housing, Dr. Rudal Munilal. Brothers and sisters, the next item on our agenda is some entertainment. I'd like to welcome Mr. Daniel Persad to give us some song tonight. Let's welcome Daniel Persad.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. Check. 1, 2, tested. Thank you.
Thinking about a young it was only you and me. We were young and wild and free. Now nothing can take you away from me. We've been down that road before. That's over now. You keep me coming back for more. Baby, you're all that I want. When you're lying here in my arms, find it hard to believe we're in heaven. Love is all that I need, and I find it here in your arms. Find it hard to see we're in heaven. Oh, once in your life you find someone who would turn your world around, pick you up when you're feeling down. Yeah, nothing can change what you mean to me, but there are lots that I can say. Just hold me now, 'cause I love will light the way. Baby, you're all that I want. When you're lying here in my arms, find it hard to believe we're in heaven. Yeah, love is all that I need, and I find it here in your arms. Isn't too hard to see we're in heaven. I've been waiting for so long for something to arrive, love to come along. Now our dreams are coming true, through the good times and the bad, yeah. I've been standing here by you. You're all that I want. When you're lying here in my arms, find it hard to believe we're in heaven. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Come on, Point Up here. Let's make some noise for Daniel Prasad. Thank you very much. Brothers and sisters, if it is one thing that the United National Congress is known for, is its intellect, its brilliant minds combined with its grassroots ability. There's one man who shares both qualities. He's one of the most brilliant minds in Trinidad and Tobago, and he's also a grassroots person in one. This person is one of the hardest working lawyers. He's one of the hardest working UNC activists in one. Let's welcome to the stage now Senator Gerald Ramdeen.
Good night. Good night, political leader of the United National Congress, Ms. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, the Member of Parliament for Pointe-a-Pierre, Dr. David Lee, and the next Deputy Political Leader of the United National Congress, Member of Parliament, Dr. Julian John, Member of Parliament for Tabakit, Dr. Rudal Munilal, all members of Parliament, councillors, chairmen, and most importantly, the members of the United National Congress in the constituencies of Pointe-a-Pierre and Tabaquite. Tonight, it is my privilege and honor to endorse a candidate that is going up for the position of Deputy Political Leader of the United National Congress. I say it is an honor and a privilege because that person is someone who represents an individual who has given their life to Trinidad and Tobago. And tonight I want to outline to you the quality of the individuals that will lead the United National Congress back into government when the general election is called, together with our political leader, Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar. The person that I want to endorse tonight for that position is someone who hails from Charlottesville in Tobago. She's someone who has distinguished herself in public life and private life in Trinidad and Tobago. She was one of the founders of the University of the West Indies Institute of Business, that is today the Arthur Lockjack Institute of Business. She's a woman who is known for her hard work, has distinguished herself not under one prime minister, not under two, but under 3 prime ministers. She's a woman who served as a senator under the first UNC government led by Mr. Pandey. Can we please stand? So, Tabakeet and Pointe-a-Pierre, can we give our political leader a round of applause? As I was saying before, tonight, I have the privilege, again, to endorse someone who I said before has given their life and has proven by their track record service to Trinidad and Tobago. The person I speak about is Miss Julian John. Miss Julian John served with distinction in the first UNC government as a senator and as a government minister. She was one of the first women to sit on the National Security Council. She served with distinction under the Manning administration and oversaw the development of Port of Spain, what we today call the international waterfront. And when the Manning administration was put out of power in 2010, Ms. Julian John led the UDCOT and the development program in Trinidad and Tobago. Ms. John had the opportunity to enter public life in politics under 3 different administrations. She did not. And today, she has chosen to serve her country in the position of Deputy Political Leader of the United National Congress. I am today proud to stand here and endorse Ms. Julian John as the next Deputy Political Leader of the United National Congress. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Jal Ramdeen. Brothers and sisters of Pointe-a-Pierre, we are very blessed to have in our midst, to have in the Pointe-a-Pierre constituency this afternoon, the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa. The next speaker, brothers and sisters, is a fighter. He has fought for this party and with this party in the trenches. He served as this party's first youth officer. When he speaks in Parliament, the PNM runs. He was the hardest working Minister of Housing. Let us welcome the Firebrand MP, the Member of Parliament for Oropuch East, Dr. Rudal Munilal.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. When he was introducing the speaker before, he spoke about brilliant and grassroots and dynamic. I jump up. But then he said a brilliant lawyer. I know it was Gerard Ramdeen he was speaking about. Thank you very much. The distinguished political leader and leader of the opposition, Member of Parliament for Siparia, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa and Dr. Gregory Bisesa, parliamentary colleagues, Dr. David Lee, Dr. Suruchratan Rambachan, Rudy Endorsing, Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, our very hardworking Senator Ramdeen and Mr. Rodney Charles, members of the National Executive, members of the local government community, brothers and sisters all. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to address you this evening for a few minutes on some matters relevant to us at this time and to speak to Trinidad and Tobago and our members throughout Trinidad and Tobago, our well-wishers across the world. We are live on several radio frequencies. We are also, I believe, streaming live on the internet at this time and on television. So let's get a big welcome for all the members outside of this packed venue tonight in Pointe-a-Pierre. Brothers and sisters, we meet today, we meet this week and this month at a time when Trinidad and Tobago is in crisis, a time when our republic is in danger, at a time when this country needs a united national Congress as never before in our history. If ever Trinidad and Tobago needed the UNC, if ever Trinidad and Tobago needed Kamla Prasad Bisesa and her team, it is now, it is today, and it is in the circumstances where Rowley and the PNM have destroyed every single institution in this country. Today, the murder rate is over 425, but they will not speak about it. They preside over the highest murder rate in decades. Today we have flooding. If it drizzle, you could drown.
And they cannot provide relief for flood victims even today. They cannot provide relief for 2 floods ago, far less the last flood. The people suffer by flooding, by crime, by insecurity. There are now massive unemployment rates, joblessness. Our young people in particular are being slaughtered by this government by being placed on the breadline. The price of fuel is going up. The price and cost of living is up. Food prices. And when they are doing that, they are removing food cards, removing welfare benefits. So it is a very, very difficult time in this country. The enemy is the PNM. The enemy is Keith Rowley. The enemy is not the United National Congress. The enemy is not Kamla Persad-Bissessar. The enemy is not the UNC. So tonight I appeal to all to come out in your numbers on Sunday the 26th. We need on Sunday what is called a show of force. We need a show of force for all members to come out. I know some of you don't even know who contesting what. I know that. But this election is being contested. Huh? This election is being contested. You may not know who outside of here contesting, but it is being contested. And therefore we need an overwhelming mandate, a show of force. Because we are not fighting alone or singularly, whoever is opposing candidates here in this room. We are fighting Keith Rowley and the PNM. So on election night, they must see the mass party that we belong to, the United National Congress. And when our people suffer, you would have heard, when our people suffer in flood, in crime, they can't get food cards. Did you hear last Friday? They spent $250,000 to have a consultation on the budget. They spent $250,000 to tell the people they have no money. That's what they did. And in the most obscene manner, they said they spent thousands of dollars at the Hyatt. They spent thousands of dollars to put on makeup. You believe that? They put makeup on Rowley, on Stuart Young, and at the end of it, they look uglier than usual. They should sue the makeup artists for breach of contract, Gerard. So this is how they squander your money, with makeup, with food and drink in the Hyatt, and squander and squander. We also learned that this government has, last week we learned, brought our international image into disrepute. Imagine on the Thursday the 9th, I believe it was, Stuart Young announced with fanfare, he said the great leader Rowley invited to China with 9 other great leaders in the world. We are so proud. He announced that on Thursday with fanfare. By Monday, he announced with equal fanfare, they withdraw the invitation for Rowley to go. When we questioned Rowley in the parliament, he said, no, they didn't withdraw the invitation, you know. What happened? They changed the program. So between Thursday to Monday, they changed a whole program in China and threw him out. But this is the government. Then he blamed us. He said, we're trying to make mischief with the Chinese government. Brothers and sisters, remember, the president of China runs a country with 20% of the world population. You know that? 20%. The president of China found Kamla Persad-Bissessar in Cuba, right nearby. He met Kamla Persad-Bissessar in Cuba at the Children's Hospital. That is when this country had prestige and status and respect and love. Not today, brothers and sisters, not today. So don't let them fool you. When they come to talk about sandals, he come in the parliament with a next cock and bull story. Huh? He come to say now sandals not coming here because they're afraid of the welcome they might get. Now that fella announced a few weeks before that he's the best salesman this country ever had. Well, I think he's really the best salesman. He's selling out the country. Today you want to blame us that sandals not coming here. Sandals was never coming here in the first place. They were never coming to Tobago. They want the government to build all the hotel in Tobago and give them it to brand. like what we do in Hyatt with Hyatt. They were never going there, but you want to blame us now. That is the leader we have. This is a leader who stood up in I think it was the Prime Minister's office, and in reference to the opposition leader, when the opposition leader revealed what is the biggest corruption scandal in decades, that fake oil matter. In decades. He then accused the Prime Minister, the opposition leader, of, you all remember what he said? Geometry. We thought he mispronounced, but he meant that. It's not geometry he's talking about. And that is the kind of crass language that he used. And he called himself the captain of the ship, and the ship sailing. I want to tell the captain tonight, in my book, you are Captain Boer. That's the captain he is. That's the captain he is. And I tell you, don't translate that. Don't translate that. Don't translate that. Don't make a mistake and translate that. My brothers and sisters, only I have to continue to talk now. Huh? I'm tired, I don't have a whole night here. Brothers and sisters, so we will deal with the captain. We'll deal with him. They announce, this is why, we go tell you the meaning later. Brothers and sisters, this is why we must vote on Sunday. This is why we must vote. You know, in the election, we campaigning all the time. We build up this election as a big election. Do you know, brothers and sisters, we had a candidate, well, not a candidate, we had someone saying he coming in, he jumping in the race. He announced with fanfare like Stuart Young, he announced that he has 5 MPs supporting him and a full slate. Before the race starts, he jumped out too. What kind of leader will lead your troops, as small as they are? What kind of leader will lead your troops into battle on the trenches, in the battlefield, and before the race starts, you turn around and bust it? And you leave all the 5 MPs hanging. Now we watching everybody with cocky eye. We don't know who is these 5 ghosts, if it ever had that. Because the leader that take off, all the time he say he running. We didn't know he running away from the election. So these are the problems we have to face now. We have an election, and when we're looking for candidates who we fighting, some of us don't know. But we have, in spite of that, to come out in our numbers and vote, because we have to show an overwhelming level of support for Mrs. Prasad Bisesa and her team. Brothers and sisters, this government has collapsed on us, and we have to intervene. A united National Congress must intervene. And I have said before, and I will just say again, if you look at the economic history of this country, anytime the UNC is united, the country is prosperous. Anytime the UNC is together and solidified, the country is developed. You can check our history. We have been in government twice before, for 3 terms and twice. Our economic history tells us that this country will only develop and prosper when the United National Congress is united and strong. And this is what November 26 is all about, brothers and sisters. This is what November 26 is about. So, brothers and sisters, the final matter I'll raise with you before I go. Today, it came to our attention that the EMBDC, a state company, has indeed filed a matter in which they have named several defendants. In fact, they're suing everybody in the world now. But they have been brave enough to name me. Now, I was waiting on this serving for about a month. Finally, they have delivered on a service. It is the worst service. I don't want to say too much, but I want to tell you that we will win in the courthouse as we will win at the polls. The EMBDC, that in 2 years could not deliver 1 lot to a Caroni worker in 2 years, now suing 12 people and contractors, everybody is suing. They will spend millions of dollars on legal fees, and they cannot deliver a lot of land to a Caroni worker. When we were there, they have spent $30 million in 1 year on McCohen, on audit. Don't laugh so loud.
They have spent $30 million in 1 year. You know, in this budget, they have $50 million again for spying and macroing, conducting all kind of investigation, taping people off the phone. They admitted they taped their own Harry Raghunanan on the phone. They tape him, their own. What will they do to us who are their enemies? Brothers and sisters, EMBDC announced that they're suing manager. They sue the manager, they sue the minister, they sue the contractor, they may sue the tea lady and the janitor. And that is your money, taxpayers' money, jumping up. And when they lose, it's more taxpayers' money to pay me. Because I have announced today that my lawyer to handle this matter is none other than the Honorable I.A.N. Ramlogan, Senior Counsel. Should I say assisted by who? And brothers, so finally we have the showdown we're waiting for. Ramlogan versus Alwari and Young. That's the showdown. That's what we're waiting for. We have it now. And they have to come good to deal with Ramlogan. We know that. He's a great lawyer, a great politician, and has served this country with distinction as Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to repeat, in these matters, the allegations here involving myself, Mr. Ramlogan, they do not involve anything that we have ever received. A cent, a dime, a 25 cent, or a dollar wine. We received nothing. We have never ever received anything. These matters not to do with that. This is a political witch hunt. This is political persecution by Alwari. In the matter with I.A.N. Ramlogan, that is not a matter of corruption and thief, you know. That is he say, and he say. And they're going and taking I.A.N. Ramlogan to the court. So brothers and sisters, they have done what they have to do. We will wait for them and deal with them in the courthouse. The sad news is that the taxpayer will have to pay legal bills. The taxpayer will have to pay damages because they are hiring their friend and their family. That is what they're doing. A company that have no money to develop land, have millions and millions to spend on audit and legal fees, consultants from England. That is a scandal we will raise in the parliament. So brothers and sisters, these are the few remarks. Stay strong, stay united. Our party cannot be pulling to the left and the right when we want to go forward. This is a time for unity. This is a time for solidarity. And I have said before, I will end by saying, over the years that I have known and I have worked with Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, I told her once as Prime Minister, and I'll tell her again as political leader, that this country, God is great, and this country will live a long time, and we'll have many Prime Ministers to come, I'm sure. But there will be no Prime Minister who will love this country as much as Kamla Prasad Bisesa. And our party is great, it's a great party. We will pray that this party will also live for 100 years to come. And the party will have other leaders in its lifetime. But there will be no leader who will love the members of this party more than Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Thank you, God bless you all, and long live our great party.
Thank you, Dr. Monilal. UNC family, do you now see why the PNM targets this member of parliament? Let us hear it for the best Minister of Housing. Let us welcome the new Deputy Political Leader on stage. Our next speaker is very dear to us in Pointe-a-Pierre. He is the incumbent chairman of the United National Congress. He's a well-established businessman. He's the former chairman of MIC. He's our hard-working MP for Pointe-a-Pierre. He is the new deputy political leader of the United National Congress, unopposed. My brothers and sisters, let us give a lusty round of applause for our own MP, Dr. David Lee.
Thank you. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you, Nadia and Nick, for tonight's proceedings. It is really a hard act to follow Dr. Monilal right after. I will do it in Parliament. I'll try, so please bear with me. I don't have the, what was the word he used, the burha, or? That sounds like Chinese. Anyway, political leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Disasa, members of the head table, my colleagues, Dr. Rambachan, who is sharing this meeting here with me tonight, thank you, and Dr. Munilal, we have Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, and I would like to just welcome MP Barry Padarat, Peppermouth. And I think Senator Khadija Amin, my sister. Brothers and sisters of the United National Congress, thank you for being here with us here tonight. As we meet here tonight, our nation exists in one of the most oppressive and darkest times since its independence. Thanks to this Keith Rowley-led PNM, the principles of democracy, freedom of expression, and even freedom of thought, which we hold so dear to us as a people, are being constantly eroded and disregarded. No longer can our citizens express how they feel. No longer can our citizens express their views on issues of national importance. No longer can citizens express discontent with the actions of this government. Imagine this government has sunk to an all-time low when you have ministers like Stuart Young, and I could attack Stuart Young as a Chinese. We have no track record of service, who has no track record of service to this nation before his appointment. No record of serving in the trenches. No record of building the national institutions within Trinidad and Tobago. And no record of accomplishment, anything for the benefit of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And he has recently insulted the views of a stalwart in the public services as one Reginald Dumas. Last week, when the Chinese government withdrew their invitation, as Dr. Munilal had mentioned, for the Prime Minister to visit China, the former diplomat Reginald Dumas reported by saying it is highly unusual for China to withdraw an invitation to a foreign leader, and it does represent, on the face of it, a snub, end quote, as was reported in last Thursday's Trinidad Guardian. Brothers and sisters, there's nothing wrong with that statement, especially when it comes from someone who is experienced as Reginald Dumas. Matter of fact, brothers and sisters, it is the truth. When last you have a government invite somebody, then uninvited them? I don't think that ever happened. If your neighbor invites you to dinner, then tell you don't come. It is an insult. It is so much worse when the entire government of China tell you don't come. However, before the government presented the real facts to the nation on this issue, they chose, in true arrogant and ignorant PNM style, to have Young insult and dismiss the former head of the public service by saying his views are uninformed and self-important. Well, what madness is this, brothers and sisters? It is a crime now for experts within our national framework to offer their experience analysis. One of the pillars of a democratic nation is the ability to freely express one's thoughts on national issues without persecution or insult. Yesterday, Reginald Dumas answered him correctly when he said via media release that he has been serving Trinidad and Tobago before Young was born. Brothers and sisters, friends, these types of insulting outbursts which belittle public office occurs when you are bankrupt of ideas and vision like the PNM. It occurs when you belong to a government that has nothing valuable to offer our national development. So you result in insulting those of substance. But worse, yet it signals an attempt to undermine democracy and undermine free-thinking citizens who are willing to stand up against poor governance. To this government, I say, you are the only views that are uninformed and self-important. Is that of your PNM government, because for 2 years you have all run this nation to the ground. For 2 years you have made poor decisions which have burdened our citizens. The PNM wants us to live in a state where no matter what the government does, good or bad, we must accept it. They want us to live in a state of submission where the government can abuse our citizens and we won't say anything. Instead of listening to our concerns, what does the Prime Minister tell us? He says we must shut up and let people and let Trinidad and Tobago prosper. Well, Prime Minister, I have something to tell you. This nation belongs to all of us, and we have to have something to say on how it is run. On how it is run, you must either listen or leave. You have been elected as a prime minister, for many, not a few, so it is either you shape up or ship out. Brothers and sisters, we must stand up. Our citizens must not be silenced, nor must it be forced to accept the neglect of this uncaring government. Brothers and sisters, the People's National Movement, led by Keith Rowley, has betrayed the people of this nation by abandoning the responsibilities of government. They have failed to protect and develop our people. Today's constituency after constituency cry of neglect and underdevelopment. Even in their PNM heartland areas, constituents are suffering. The people of Pointe-a-Pierre have been some of the hardest hit. When you look at our roads, you would think we are back in the 1800s with bull carts. A matter of fact, these roads are not even fit for bull carts. For 2 years as a member of parliament, I have been writing various ministers of work. I've been meeting them in the corridors of parliament and begging that they assist the people of Pointe-a-Pierre. In July this year, the minister toured the area to see the work that needed to be done. I even gave the man and his whole team food just to ensure we get a little thing here in Pointe-a-Pierre. Up until today, we haven't received even 2 loads of gravel. Brothers and sisters, the people of Pointe-a-Pierre continue to live in fear each day as crime plagues the communities of Claxton Bay, St. Margaret's Union Village, St. Mary's Marabella, and Gopal lands. Constituents come to my office and repeatedly complain to me that they cannot walk in their neighborhoods late at night. They have to close their parlors and small businesses early, given that they have been robbed many times, while many of our homes have been even broken into. Crime has not reached the doorstep of Pointe-a-Pierre constituents, but it has reached in their homes. In 2016, I met with the Minister of National Security and asked for more patrols. Up until today, nothing has been done. Brothers and sisters, just as Keith Rowley has failed and abandoned the people of Pointe-a-Pierre and Tabaquite, he has abandoned all of Trinidad and Tobago. As our twin island republic descends into a national crisis of failed governance, what is the solution? The solution remains the same as it was 7 years ago, the leadership of the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar. 7 years ago, both the United National Congress and Trinidad and Tobago existed in a very fractured states. But it was the leadership of the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar which restored both the UNC and our nation. As a party, we must remember that before 2010, the UNC was beginning to lose its appeal even within its own base. In the 2007 general election, many hardcore UNC members abandoned the party and caused other third parties to capture 3,000 plus votes in strong UNC constituencies for the first time. This trend continued in 2008 and 2009, and many lost faith in the party's leadership. The arms of the party has lost its vibrancy and zeal, as many felt turned off by the constant infighting of the UNC before 2010. For years, national executive elections were delayed while constituency elections were also postponed. Members of national executive were suing each other as well as the leadership. The United National Congress was in turmoil. Then on January 22nd, 2010, a light arose. The Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar was elected leader of your great party and worked to restore its arms and institutions. Within 3 months, she delivered what some had promised for 9 years. She returned the United National Congress back to government. Many have spoken before me on the brilliance of her prime ministership. But what I will say here once more is that not only did Kamla Persad-Bissessar serve as the best prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago, but she led the most people-centered, transparent, and compassionate government our nation has ever seen, my brothers and sisters. Today, I would like to spend a little time on Vasan Bharat. Vasan is like the little boy, a friend I knew. He carries his bat to play cricket with his friends, and when he's bowled out, he takes the bat and goes home, ending the game. For 2 years, since Vasan got the political licking of his life by the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, he chose not to be part of the UNC events, meetings, or agendas. Don't be fooled by Vasan. He said he pulled out because of an unfair advantage. He never filed, brothers and sisters. You know why? Because he knew he couldn't take the licks for a second time. When you get beaten 17,000 plus to 1,500, it takes more than 2 years to recover from that licking. Vasant is like Pluto from the cartoon Popeye, always boasting he will beat Popeye, and when time to fight, he just run away. That's what he did. For 3 weeks, he boasted that he could win. He boasted that he could run for leader, but when the mark bust, all Vasant did was run away. But friends, this is a man without any shame. He made claims about Kamala using party funds and also requesting to debate on the Monday night forum. My question to him is, what did he donate to the UNC in the past 2 years, my brothers and sisters? When your leader was trying to make ends meet in this great party for 2 years, so we can come to your constituencies to represent you and speak on the issues, Vasant didn't even send us a pack of cricks, my brothers and sisters. But you want to talk about party funds. You know how party funds come? When the UNC needed a home, we all came together as a team, struggled to ensure UNC got a home. When Vasant helped he didn't help us. He didn't even offer a room for less 50 cents. Worse yet, Vasant was head of the committee that was appointed to find a home for the UNC while we were in government. Brothers and sisters, Vasant wanted us to take him seriously when for 2 years he insulted the work of our ground soldiers and called them sycophants. Brothers and sisters, this is a man who couldn't win one marginal seat, St. Joseph, but now want to tell the nation he could win all the marginals and bring the party into government. You hear lie? That is lie. I mean, come on. You couldn't bring home your own seat in St. Joseph, but you want to bring home 24 seats. Friends, we must not be distracted by those who seek attention. Friends, it's only possible with the leadership of the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar. We are all aware that our nation needs Kamala. But if you love Kamala, you must come out and mobilize heavy on November the 26th to ensure that she returns as political leader of the United National Congress. It is to show of electoral force that will send a message to the PNM that we are ready and want back government. In coming days, as we prepare to bring out our votes, we must not ask the question, what can the UNC do for me, but rather we must ask what I can do for the United National Congress. At last week's meeting in Plumita, a 91-year-old lady came out to listen to the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar. If she can give 2 or 3 hours of her time, we are asking you on Pointe-a-Pierre and Tabaqui to give us 30 minutes and go to your voting poll on Sunday and vote for the star led by the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar. Would you do that for her, my brothers and sisters? Would you come out in your hundreds and thousands on Sunday, November the 26th, and vote for the only political leader, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar? My friends, as I come to a close, I want to really say, come out in your hundreds and your thousands on Sunday to show that we care and we love our Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar. I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. David Lee. Let's give a round of applause for the outgoing chairman and next deputy political leader of the United National Congress. Brothers and sisters, the next speaker is a strong woman. The next speaker is a determined and brilliant woman. She has served as a Minister of Transport in the first UNC government. No doubt she will work with our party to ensure we return to power. Let us welcome the next Deputy Political Leader of the United National Congress, Mrs. Julian John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I must apologize for being late. I usually drive against the traffic, and that's our traffic. It's not easy. Anyway, honorable political leader, other members of parliament, members of the county councils, members of the national executive. Yes, I'm really not seeing, thank you, hold on. Yeah, yes, I did. Members of the media, brothers and sisters, Earlier today, I did an interview on television, and one of the questions I was asked was why I decided to openly support the UNC at this time. Aren't you afraid of a backlash? You see people everywhere. I mean, I was listening to the meeting coming down here. From every corner of Trinidad and Tobago, they have something negative to say about this government. I mean, we can go over what they are saying, but we know you can't stand in a corner. I mean, long ago, you used to stand in a corner as Dr. Munila would have stood, and somebody would give him a piece of paper about a house business. But now, the piece of paper talking something negative about this government. So, they might thank you. In terms of being afraid of where we are and whether we are afraid of backlashes or what have you, I think the future is really up to us. For too long, we have looked outside of ourselves to find salvation and focused on somebody else to bring us, to assist us, to get us out of any quagmire we find, in which we find ourselves. Recently, when you look at, currently, when you look at what is going on, I want to refer, as MP Lee just did, to a fellow Tobagonian. He's not only a senior member of our community, he's also a fellow Tobagonian. And of course, you can criticize somebody, but it's the way in which it is done, which is viciousness. It was totally uncalled for. All he asked was a question, why did they stop you from going to China? I mean, our political leader, as Prime Minister, she went to China, and I recall attending about 4 meetings with the Ministry of of Foreign Affairs to prepare for that meeting. That is when you had governance and government. So this goodly gentleman, just as he does generally, he's a public commentator, and it is his right, as enshrined under the Constitution, to ask, well, why? Because he was head of the public service, and I think he was a diplomat. So he felt that this was a snub. So he asked, well, why? You are telling this guy to shut up. And a former minister who was in the Ministry of Finance, he was told, when he also questioned it, he was told, you're a nobody. Don't even talk. Now, I think that is a little bit of madness. This is now moving from just people being insulting and vicious to some kind of madness. And if this guy was in Tobago, somebody would have catch him and give him a bush bath. I think you need a bush bath. I don't know, MP Lee, whether Chinese believe in bush bath, but you need a bush bath. So you need to get your fellow Chinese fella and give him a good bush bath. He said he'll give him a karate chop, You see, it's a pattern of viciousness, brutality, and abuse. And as Maya Angelou, this great poet from African-American poet, had said, when somebody show you who they are, believe them for the first time. Believe them the first time. These people showing us over and over and over who they are, and we better believe this is just who these folks are. They are brutal, they are thuggish, they're vicious, and they need a bush bath. Something has to be wrong with what is going on in Trinidad, because this is not normal behavior. So, I don't want to go there because I'm from Charlottesville. You will recall, last year, you probably would have read in the papers, I was called into a meeting, and after 10 minutes of that meeting, I was fired from a tone. So again, it's a pattern of behavior. The political leader has urged us to be of good courage, to stand our ground, because these people like to bark at you and shout at you and scream at you and abuse you, and they feel that you are going to back down. But when they think that you are going to back down, that is when you need to stand up. Stand up anyway. Stand up in the middle of the road. Just stand up for these people. They are intolerable. They are intolerable. Stand up for them. They felt, I heard one yelling out my name the other night, asking if you remember Julian John, as if I did. I tell you, they're crazy. You have to learn to laugh in this situation, You remember Julian, that is when he deceased. Because they told themselves they had stomped all over me, and I was deceased. But no, I'm from Charlottesville. Tobago. And I'm not only from Charlottesville. The bay I grew up on called Manawar Bay. So I will always stand up. No, check it out. That's not a joke tonight. It's named Manawar Bay. I grew up on that beach, swimming in the sea all the time. So when these people, I don't know if Chinese could swim.
Yeah, I can swim.
Yelling out my name, telling me I'm from Manawar Bay. And I will stand up anyway. And they could do what they want. They can do what they want. And I'm here vying for the position. Oh, well, I've heard I've won already, so I ain't to fight for that one. Tonight, because I am going to take a stand. I don't want anybody to ask me again why. They know why. Because somebody had to stand up in the middle of the road for these people and say, I am not taking that. Another question they keep asking me is, or telling me, because people may have these broad statements of fact, is that the political leader is weak. I don't understand it. I don't understand why a woman who could be so courageous and put herself out there to take all the barbs and the slings and the arrows, fought her way, nobody gave it to her to become the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, could have stood and promote and champion the policies which help the least amongst us. And they're saying this woman is weak and she's hostage to some kind of special interest. It's just improbable that Kamla Persad-Bissessar could be weak. Sometimes you just don't know how to explain it. So I'm afraid, again, Prime Minister, this morning I just had to say, this woman is ruthless, because I don't know what other word to use, you know, in terms of how she approaches things. It's not that she's ruthless, certainly. I didn't mean it that way. I meant she's kind, and she's good, and she's decent, and she has empathy for people. And to have empathy, it takes strength. It is easy to cuss everybody. It is easy to buff everybody. It is easy to say, shut up, because that's your default switch. You know why? Because you have no solutions. You have no solutions. So you're easy to just say, shut up, and sit down. But when they tell you to shut up, it's then you should stand up. Stand up for these people. You see, I got a little emotional tonight because I'm so irritated. You see, down here in the south, maybe you all are hearing it, but in tongue you're hearing it ad nauseam. How evil these people are. How disgusting they are. And sometimes it really gets to you. So anyway, when the Honorable then Prime Minister toured the San Fernando Administrative Complex, it was a base building. She was agonizing, overseeing the citizens of this country, lying in the corridors of San Fernando General Hospital, waiting for sometimes over 24 hours. You know, sometimes we have a short memory. And because when things get good and better and best, we tend to forget how things were before. So we forgot that people were lying down for hours at San Fernando General Hospital without anybody even saying, how may I help you? And this political leader as Prime Minister decided, I'm going to repurpose this administration building and it must become a hospital to alleviate people's suffering, and you must do it within 18 months. That takes courage. That is not a weak leader. That is not a leader who says, shut up. That is a leader who says, if you can't stand up, I'll stand up for you. That's a strong leader. She did not stop there. Her policies led her to the Couva, to champion the construction of children, of Couva Children's Hospital. And in that regard, she did not even have to go to China then, you know. China came to her. China came to her. That is the power of Kamla Persad-Bissessar. She didn't go to China yet. China came to her and turned the sword for the Couva Children's Hospital. And I was there. I was very privileged to be there when China came to Kamla Persad-Bissessar. You know? So when you have people who can't even buy a return ticket to China, telling you about how weak she is, tell them, please. China came. No, they can't buy a return ticket to China. I mean, come on. Yeah. So we commissioned this hospital in 2015. The folks who just like to lie, because they have no solution, they just lie. At first, when they won the election, and one started to ask, when are you going to open the hospital? Because the goodly political leader knew, as Prime Minister, she had commissioned this hospital. Certain things had happened. She had triggered the defect liability period. That's in effect what happened. And they said, no, this is a shell that can open. She had to pull out from her archives a video to show, because she had toured it when it was under construction. She had toured it when it had achieved the completion, and then she toured it as she started to commission it. So on 3 occasions. So she saw with her own eyes, and the media would have seen. And luckily one had the evidence. One had the receipts that in fact, because they would have had it locked up there, had she not been able to prove that this hospital was complete. They would have had that locked up there, and you pass in there and they're telling you it's empty, you know, because that's how they are. You understand? So the hospital was so complete. It had all the state-of-the-art equipment in place, bed, crib. It was so complete that it had pictures hanging on the wall. We had all the binders, so everything was handed over, so you give them the key. So even when you hand them the key, they can't even open the hospital. You hand them the key and they cannot open the hospital. You know what I mean? What is it? So they stood there in their shoes and they wondered for 2 years, and they wondered what to do with this magnificent structure, first world health for healthcare. And then last week, Friday, after a lot of prodding, they decided, well, all right, we'll send out a press release. So what did the press release say, to paraphrase? The press release said, well, it was a construction site, and the road had collapsed outside. My God, yes. We had triggered, the project had achieved substantial completion. We had triggered the defect liability period, and any child would have known that you don't even have to talk to the contractor because he knows. Road collapse, that is your business friend. Roof leaking, that is your problem. You know, I mean, when we opened the Piarco Airport, for instance, they have a dome there, very nice architectural design. As soon as rain starts to fall, it starts to leak. Because you could only know if there's a leak when the rain falls. And one didn't panic because the contractor had to fix it. So similarly, the time you put a building or new infrastructure under stress during the project liability period, during that period of 2 years or a year or whatever your contract says, and all those equipment, expensive, millions of dollars worth of equipment, the warranties start to run, because once we trigger that defect liability period, the defect period starts to run. So I don't know whether they had asked for it to be extended, because those things are collecting mothball and what have you, and they are deteriorating as the time goes on. So let me wrap up, because I know the political leader is not feeling very well. Well, of course, sorry, I don't know if she's not feeling well, but I think so. Yes, all right. In pursuing the policy of healthcare, we did, as I said, we did the San Fernando Teaching Hospital. With respect to diversifying the economy, we would have put 40,000 square feet of space, teaching space there, which we would have sold, and the plan was to deliver further develop that campus. Also to continue the Couva Children's Hospital, that was phase 1. We were going to further develop that campus. And of course, we started the Point 14 Hospital and the Arima Hospital. And of course, every day you're reading in the papers is stop and start. You know, I don't know if it started when it stops, but I can assure you, political leader, you commissioned that, you turn the sod and you mobilize the construction. I promise you, you'll be there to commission Arima and Point 14 also. Right, so anyway, well, you know, we handed out keys. I was listening to Dr. Munilal, but he didn't talk about that. I don't know why he's not happy that he handed out over 8,521 keys, and he had 7. Listen, these things are like magic, you know. And we handed out we started 7,130 houses. Well, you know their policy. They bragged and they boast we're going to have a public-private partnership arrangement. You know, not a soul, not a house. Nobody have time with them and their foolishness. And that is a whole other story also. Now, because nobody has bothered with them, they say, well, all right, forget that. You're going to build your own house. So I think the new thing is, I don't know if it's $1 for $1. I don't know what it is. I'm so confused. But I know it's something to do with you building your own house now. So, you know, they're basic, what is it? Oh, yeah, go on, build your own house. All right? So anyway, you know, Again, with this Prime Minister's policy of caring for the least amongst us, she would have constructed and commissioned 8 police stations. I remembered when we were opening the... Yes. This was pace. When we were... I don't think people appreciate what it is to take a project from zero. Well, I mean, these people now appreciate it because they're building nothing. Because they just can't. You know, all this fanfare about cutting ribbon with Calco and things. You know up to now, Calco and no contract? It's a Houdini government. You understand? They just tell you, close your eye and think about it. Imagine, it's an imagined government, you know. So I've heard up to now this Calco man have no contract, but they cut a ribbon with him. Now when you cut a ribbon under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, you better believe it had backhoe and tractor and man working hard and sweating in the sun, because this Prime Minister will call you and ask you, and there's a way she puts her voice, all this sweetness melts away, to ask you, what is going on? Why isn't anybody there working? And why do you want to embarrass her? You have to work with Kamla Prasad Bisesa. You understand? So she then cut, it's not no Hollywood production with her. It is a real production. So I want to thank you so much for coming tonight. So tonight I'm here to tell you again to keep hope alive and go out and vote in your large numbers, to ensure that Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa is returned as the political leader of the United National Congress.
Brothers and sisters, that was our dynamic new deputy political leader. Do you all see why our political leader continues to prove to us that she's our best choice? She's a wise person and she's worthy of leadership? Our next speaker is a former deputy political leader of the United National Congress. He is the former mayor of Chaguanas. He's a well-established management specialist. He was the best minister of works and infrastructure. He's a man who brings figures and facts to the podium. Brothers and sisters, let us welcome the Member of Parliament for the constituency of Tabakit, Dr. Rambachan.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Political leader of the United National Congress, former Prime Minister, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa and Dr. Gregory Bisesa, my distinguished colleagues on the head table in the audience, ladies and gentlemen, friends all. Tonight I want to begin by congratulating our political leader on her choices with respect to the candidates she has chosen for the upcoming internal elections. And in particular, I want to publicly endorse her choice of Julian John. Julian John is a doer. She's a woman of action. And if you put Julian John to go through a revolving door this way, Julian John knows how to come out the other way. That is the capacity of this woman to deliver and to move all barriers to ensuring that when she has a job to do, she will do it. And if today the party needs someone in order to deal with mobilization, in order to deal with delivery, in order to deal with positioning alongside the political leader and her team, the UNC to be the next government, then Julian John is part of that team. And I also want to congratulate her for her choice of Dr. David Lee as a deputy political leader. Dr. Lee has distinguished himself as the chief whip in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. And let me say that although Mrs. Bisesa has led the team with a rare degree of excellence over the last 2 years, in a way that has made her motivate and inspire her parliamentarians to do a job of bringing down the PNM in less than 2 years, Dr. Lee has also worked to keep that team together and to keep us in Parliament as a formidable team. And I also want to congratulate her on the choice of Mr. Peter Kanai as the chairman of this party. If a man has organizational skills and who has been a servant of the party, it is Peter Kanhai, and I'm very happy to see these faces. So when you talk about an organization that is going to go forward with excellence, an organization that is going to go forward in terms of professionalizing the organization and putting it on the road to being the next government of Trinidad and Tobago under the Prime Ministership of Kamla Persad-Bissessar, then she has the team that is getting ready to do that. Brothers and sisters, this last October was 37 years since I entered politics. And 37 years ago, when I entered politics as the deputy political leader under the distinguished Carl Hudson Phillips, who has passed on. And I have worked as a deputy political leader under Mr. Kamla Persad-Bissessar. I worked under Mr. Robinson as an ambassador of this country and a minister. And I worked under Mr. Pandey as a mayor. But I want to tell you that the most productive years of my life as a politician was due to the opportunities given to me by Kamla Persad-Bissessar between the years 2010 and 2015. And even today, for the last 2 years in the parliament. And I do hope that in every ministry that I served, I brought her credit and I was able to do as she has done, the best for Trinidad and Tobago. And that is why I look back to the year 2009, when I first mounted the platform in one of her very first meetings. I think it was the second meeting she had in Bish. And I was one of the very few of the members of the people in the UNC who went on the platform and say, I stand for Kamla Persad-Bissessar. I did that in 2009, and 7 or 8 years later, I'm prepared to do it again. I'm prepared to do it in the future once more. Because, brothers and sisters, leadership is what is needed in this country. And she may have lost a general election, but she has not lost her penchant for action. She has not lost her intellect, and she has not lost her vision that she holds for united Trinidad and Tobago. Brothers and sisters, there is so much that we must be proud of as members of the UNC. There's so much that we ought to be proud of. And amongst the things we should be proud of is the legacy that this party has built when it comes to freedom of speech, freedom of association, and the practice of democracy in this country called Trinidad and Tobago. When you look back at the 5 years in particular, when Mrs. Bissessar was Prime Minister of this country and leader of the UNC, as she still is today and will be in the future, when you look back and you look at the conversations that were taking place in this country, you look at the way people were able to express themselves freely and to criticize the People's Partnership, even the members of the UNC doing that, with a rare kind of freedom, you have to admit that that was the best years of democracy and freedom of speech and the right to dissent in Trinidad and Tobago. Let me not be afraid to say that when in 2009 people campaigned against her in the most venomous manner, tried to degrade her character in the worst way, you saw leadership in her rise to the heights. I want to say compassion, but I'd rather say excellence. After those internal elections, when she won, she brought back some of those people and gave them the best ministerial positions and ambassadors and what have you in this country. And when a person can rise above such personal misgivings, when a person can rise above what I call toilet paper issues like that, and she can see the sun rising in the horizon, you must know that that is a leader. Because she sees and she works, she sees excellence in people, she sees the contribution they can make. She doesn't see the tilt of their nose or the color of their eyes or the texture of their hair, but she sees a human being who can contribute alongside her to Trinidad and Tobago. My dear friends, I had the fortune to work with Kamla Persad-Bissessar as a minister. And I want to tell you that she was and will be the first woman Prime Minister of this country. But when she became a woman Prime Minister, she didn't forget the women and girls of this country. She was concerned about the nation. But you know what? I saw something. We were at the United Nations, and for 1 year before that, we led a campaign, which she led, in order to lift the status of women and girls, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but internationally. And I remember at the 2012, I believe it was, United Nations meeting, while the 193 leaders were debating in the big hall, Kamla Prasad-Bisesa was speaking to over 1,000 persons who had left that meeting to go to listen to her. She had organized on the periphery of the United Nations meeting, a meeting of all the leaders, and there were some of the world leaders who came, the prime ministers and presidents, including the president of Brazil. And she had arranged that in order to make a statement that women and girls must not be left out of political decision making. And when Mrs. Clinton, who initially did not want to give support to that meeting, wherever she was in New York, when she heard what was going on in that hall, Mrs. Clinton came in the middle of the meeting and tried to upstage Kamla Prasad-Bisesa, but she was not allowed to do that by the other president. The leader wouldn't like me to say that, but Rodney Charles was there, and Rodney Charles knows that. Yeah, yeah. She tried to upstage her, but she couldn't upstage her, because the people saw this little lady from Trinidad and Tobago punching way above her weight for the good of women and girls in the world. Brothers and sisters, she was the chair in office of the 54-nation Commonwealth. You have to understand what that means. The Queen is the head of the Commonwealth, but she was the chair in office. Chair in office. And that means that she was in communication with 54 leaders of the world. Not waiting to go to a 9-leader meeting and then it never took place. She was in charge like that, 54 nations. And I can tell you the kind of work Kamla Prasad-Bisesa did as the chair in office until when she handed over to the Prime Minister of Australia in Australia. And I want to tell you of a little incident that's so interesting. I don't even think Mrs. Bisesa knows that. Mrs. Bisesa read a passage from the scriptures at Westminster Abbey to celebrate Commonwealth Day. And while we were there at the headquarters of the Commonwealth, we were all in a line. And I was about 7 or 8 down the line. And the Queen had passed Mrs. Bisesa, and she came up. And it was obvious she saw the Trinidad and Tobago flag on my jacket. And as she shook my hand, she says, "Your Prime Minister is an excellent person. She read so well today." The Queen. I felt proud. I really, really felt proud. She didn't have to do that. But brothers and sisters, you know, Rowley is traveling 27 times or 28 times already. What has he brought back to Trinidad and Tobago? Every time Kamla Prasad-Bisesa traveled, she traveled as a marketing specialist of Trinidad and Tobago. She always brought something back to Trinidad and Tobago. And if you go into the records of the Hansard, you will see every time she traveled, I gave a report of the achievements of her travel. It is there in the Hansard for you to see. But I asked today, they talk about the Mitsubishi plant down in La Brea. I want to tell you that I was part of a delegation of the CARICOM that was invited to Japan. And I went there, and while the CARICOM meeting was taking place, I visited almost 10 or 11 of the big conglomerates. And I visited and I spoke then to the foreign minister. And he assured me then that he will send an investment mission to Trinidad. And do you know that that was the first investment mission in 19 years to come out of Japan to Trinidad? So when they talk about marketing Trinidad and Tobago and what has happened, I can tell you, because I walked that road as a foreign minister. When Kamla Prasad-Bisesa went to China, yeah, Prime Minister Abe came here, and he came right here to Springvale. His wife came and ate mango chow, right. It was interesting that he came to Springvale. When she went to China, she didn't come back empty-handed. Today they talk about the boat that came from China. That boat, along with the other boats that were bought by the government of Trinidad and Tobago under Kamla Prasad-Bisesa, those are the boats that are making the biggest breakthroughs in drug interdiction right now. Those are the boats that are making the interdiction. But I want to ask a question. Do you remember when Kamla Prasad-Bisesa came back to Trinidad after her Chinese visit that a team of Chinese doctors, specialist doctors also came to Trinidad and were conducting some of the most sophisticated surgeries, brain surgeries in San Fernando. Where is that team today? What has happened to that relationship that Kamla Persad-Bissessar built up with the Chinese government? What has happened to it? Why is it that you are not getting that kind of expertise coming back into Trinidad and Tobago? Brothers and sisters, I can give you lots and lots of examples of the performance of Kamla Persad-Bissessar as your Prime Minister. But I want to tell you that under Kamla Persad-Bissessar, more people and groups have come into national decision-making and political participation under her leadership than any government before. Because she was one of the architects that put together the coalition called the People's Partnership. And let me tell you something tonight. We were there discussing what would you call this coalition. And we came up with all kinds of words. And Kamla Persad-Bissessar, she said, you know what this is? Trinidadians like to have a partner. She said that Trinidadians like to have a partner. And right there and then was born the word People's Partnership. Because she had a vision for partnering with the society and people partnering with each other. And that vision is still alive in Trinidad and Tobago today because of her. Thank you. Brothers and sisters, it is a tribute therefore to her style that everyone has had something to contribute. There's lots more that I came here to talk about tonight, but my time is up, and I know that the leader has to speak. But I want to tell you as I close, in the last 5 years, under Kamla Persad-Bissessar, that we were in government, UNC didn't cut jobs, UNC didn't raise taxes. UNC instead reduced the burdens on the citizens by promoting the vision of prosperity to all. I want to tell you, Kamla Persad-Bissessar has not lost her vision nor her love for Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rambachan. Let's give a round of applause for one of the most dynamic members of Parliament, Dr. Suraj Rambachan. Brothers and sisters, in 2010, like today, crime and murder was sky high. In 2010, like today, unemployment was sky high. But in 2010, a leader emerged, a leader of compassion, vision, and determination. And 7 years later, that leader is still here. That leader is stronger than ever. That leader is brighter than ever. And that leader is ready to save Trinidad and Tobago. Let us welcome the next Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar.
Please. Thank you very much, Nicholas. Thank you. Okay. Members of the UNC at the head table and in the audience, members, friends, and family. I really do have a little virus issue. So I want to thank all the speakers here tonight. You've been brilliant in sharing thoughts and ideas. And in fact, I was listening to Chairman A.A.N when I was coming up. I heard him on the radio. And when I heard the amount of achievement, I said, wow. You know, and it's in every region. He talked about Kuva, but this was like everywhere performance taking place. So I think we need to go backwards a little and remind ourselves. Because when you see today, 2 years later, my throat will not carry me through, so. Dr. Bissessar just gave you some cough medicine, but you know, this has happened to Theresa May recently. And there was another leader speaking, and likewise a voice. So I'm joining world leaders with a voice. I thank you very much for your love. I thank you for the support over all these years. And I thank you again for the support on the 26th, November 26th. Now people are saying, Kamala, stop stressing out, you'll win already. Don't take that basket, please. Huh? We know an election is only won when the votes are cast on election day. So I'm asking you to make every effort to bring out every single vote that you can in your community from that membership list in your area. Because this is twofold, that vote, I think, and I want to share that with you. That yes, we will elect the leadership, part of the leadership of the UNC, but it is also very important that we send a very strong signal to the true enemy, the PNM. That is very, very important. That we say to them, here we are a strong party. Our members have come out in full support. We are strong, we are solid, and you better watch out because we are coming for you next, Dr. Rowley. So do not think we've won and you stay home and be complacent. That happens from time to time, doesn't it? 2015, we had some of that happening. I think we win and we going clear, and people staying home. So I really make a concerted effort here tonight, as did other speakers. Let not one vote escape because you say that you think victory is already inside the bag. And that is important because I ask you this today. Are you safer today than you were before September 2015? Are you safer? Do you have better health care now than you had before September 2015? Did you have a better education system now or before 2015 September? And if you go through every sector of the country, we come to jobs. The job losses have been amassing, the murders increasing, the kidnappings, the serious crimes. Then it is very clear that we are worse off today than we ever were before September 2015. And so these guys came red and ready in September and prior to September 15, and they gave you all their promises, false promises, yes? And they promised you they will deal with everything, they will bring down crime, they will create jobs, they will give you a better education system, better health care, and they have broken every single promise that they made in 2015. So what do we do now? As we go forward, as we see the promises made have been broken, we are seeing our country at a crisis level now, in every sector. And what is the most painful is that they have abandoned the children of Trinidad and Tobago. That to me is the most painful thing. They've taken away their laptops, they've taken away their baby grand, they're reneging on their children's life fund. Things that were there to help our children, because our children are the future of this country. And if we do not invest in them, if we don't protect them, and if we do not provide for them, we're in effect dooming a whole generation to a wasteland in abandonment. It is you now, it is us now, who must rescue Trinidad and Tobago from this wicked PNM government. Because if we don't do it, there's no one else left to do it. Never mind only rubber talk and badge and talk from so many people. There will be no one left to do it. So you go out in your communities, you're campaigning. I remember after election results in 2015, people were, afraid, they were grieving, they were sad, whatever. Now you walk all about, people are vexed. They're blue vexed, as they say. Cussing the rowdy, wicked, incompetent, clueless government. And whilst they do that, people are telling us, they say, listen, you're all not talking enough. The opposition had to do more, you have to talk more. You have to fight more. Ask all these MPs here, that's what they're telling them when they go out. They didn't want to see some of us for a while, because you were grieving, and our own members had lost some hope. But I have seen over these 2 years, our great party growing from strength to strength. And whilst our detractors say nothing has happened, I can show you the progress that we have made in the party and outside the party. Let me start with our parliamentarians. Same parliamentarians, you know. I say we have ministers of government now, waste of time. You have a fellow named Garcia, waste of time. I don't know if he stays awake in the parliament. And some of our members have nothing to say about him, but they spend time to talk about Tim Gopi Singh, one of the best ministers of education in the country. One of, because I would like to boast myself, I'm also one of those. And so Tim was able to build over 100 schools, early childhood centers, laptops, school feeding, textbooks. The violence in the school we see increasing again. And some silly person the other day in Parliament want to blame Kamala for the violence in schools. Miss Oliveri, she's the MP for Labray. In the budget debate, imagine this lady stand up in Parliament and say, it's because Kamala stopped beating in schools, that 10 years later, well, it's even more than 10 because that happened under Mr. Pandey, in the year 2000, she comes in 2017. What is that, Lord? 17 years later. To say Kamala stopped beating in schools, and that's why school violence is increasing. What an embarrassment from a young, bright lady. So you feel you could beat people to stop beating people. You could be violent to children to stop violence. But she got slapped down right away because it was nonsense and foolishness. Her own Minister Garcia woke up from his sleep. He woke up from his sleep to say, no, 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 it is not the government policy to start to beat children in school. And so I'm saying, this Minister of Education, the present one, when we had such a great Minister of Education, some of us in our own party find time to bar-talk him, but no time to bar-talk the worst Minister, Garcia. We see it in other sectors. We see some of our members want to attack the ministers in the partnership and not finding time to attack the present PNM, who are worse than anything we ever had. So I spoke with you tonight. I said, boy, just sing songing like a eulogy, but I ain't dead yet, and Lord help me, I don't plan to die just yet. Such great things he was saying, but they were all true. They were all true. And I was ably assisted by Minister Suraj as Minister of Foreign Affairs, and then in local government, and then the Ministry of Works. We had the best ever production in works under Suraj Ramachan. Think of the bridges, the roads, everywhere, the infrastructure, the new highway. Where did that happen from the sky? And yet some of our detractors wanted to say they don't like Suraj. What about the present Minister of Works, who right now is under great serious questions with respect to what happened at the port, with the Kobo Star and the other boat and so on. Serious questions that they want to build a highway where he owns the land at the Kedona. Him or his associates. Serious questions. And as Awang said tonight, Chairman Awang, they can't fix a pothole. But we were able to deliver throughout the country, under Works Minister Suraj, roads, bridges, drains. You remember they called us the box drain government? Well, I'm sure many of you wish you had the box drain government back, because we would not have had the kind of flooding we're seeing now under the PNM. Then we have a Minister of Housing who has not built a single house in over 2 years, not one house. And yet people finding time to, I don't like Monilal. I don't like Monilal. Why? I just don't like him. As Julian told us tonight, over 8,000 keys delivered in the 5 years. And if you say you didn't get one, that is why we need a second term, so the rest of you could get those who did not get. Yes? And there, I'm talking about ministers, some others are here. Minister Endorsing, who worked in the Ministry of Finance and helped us with labor. Remember labor? How many settlements? 135 labor negotiations completed. How many have they completed? I can't answer that because I believe it is negligible, if at all. And they're fighting down the workers of this country every day, firing people at every turn and point that they can. We were able, try and remember, to create 55,000 new jobs. So in education, in the health sector, Julian mentioned to you the hospitals we were building. But it wasn't just hospitals, and I had put a special committee in place. And that committee was for health sector issues, where we were able to refurbish health centers throughout the country. Extend the hours. Dr. Bodo was the chairman of the Southwest Regional Health Authority who helped us with that. Extending the hours of opening. They've closed them back down, haven't they? So that people were working, could go after hours, could go on weekends. They've closed all that down. Because they say they don't need it. When they get ill, they fly off to Washington and to New York and whichever part of the world. The Prime Minister himself goes for checkups where? In California. Mr. Coffey is somewhere in Washington, I believe, and Mr. Franklin Canna, he was somewhere in the Far East. And so, in healthcare, in education, in infrastructure, in foreign affairs, at every level, we were performing and we were delivering. So what went wrong? What happened? What went wrong? We have to do soul searching. We have done some of the analysis to see why. And don't take on them for, let's say, Kamala lost the election. Eh? I am not so great at all by my lonesome self that I alone lost the general election of 2015. I take responsibility, but it was collectively all of us must also take responsibility. So when we win, everybody win. And when we lost the 2015, it's Kamala alone. I tell you, we have to look into that. And one of the things from the analysis that we did was the way that we were divided amongst ourselves. And I've been making this point on every platform, that once we divide, we lose. We saw it years ago with Rafik Shah and Pandey, the divisions. Coming closer to the time, we saw what happened with the MOP. The MOP with Ms. Bagan, Hulsi Bagan, divide again. We come down the road, we win, and then you had the team unity with Ramesh Miraj, divide again. We coming down the road again, remind me, the COP, yes? And we coming down the road again, the ILP. And we coming down the road again up to last year, had NSA. Look, let us get it clear. If we hold together, we will win. We did it before and we can do it again. In 2010, we came together. And we were able to move all the obstacles, united, we went forward, and we were able to win. And don't get chained up by people telling you, UNC can't win the corridor. We did it once, we could do it twice, we could do it again. So they try to put fear in our hearts, the detractors, they divide and rule people. UNC, you all worthless, you're sycophants, don't worry, you could never win again. Well listen, without the UNC base, no one can win against the PNM. You must have the UNC, and that is you. The UNC must be there. So the people in the West and in Port of Spain, they have a strategy of saying it's them against the rest of us. It's Port of Spain versus the rest of the country. Not true. So it's only what Port of Spain say in the media, in the newspaper, and they're forever there pontificating and trying to tell you what you must do, what you must say, and whom you must support. That cannot work anymore. Thank God for social media that everybody is aware now of what is happening. When we had to depend on mainstream media, and even now when you pick up mainstream media, you will see clearly the direction they are going, Port of Spain and the West. See Danny Solomon here, welcome him. He's from the West. He understands it. And he's from Port of Spain. Thank you, Danny. So there is that, you know, they say it's them and us. And in 2010, we were able to show on the map of Trinidad and Tobago, the entire country, save and except the western Port of Spain, went yellow. And save and except Point 14, and I've asked Senator Tahaka to make Point 14 yellow as we go in the next rounds. So I'm saying our party has come a long way. When we were recorded as a loss in 2015, from then, We didn't sit down and just grieve and lick our wounds. We started to build. There were some of you, and we needed more of you. As the days and months went by, more and more of you have come forward. So first, we put the executives into place. We put a national executive into place. Then we went into 2016, I had to put the councillors in place. And I am so proud of our councillors and older men right now. I have seen in the flooding that took place recently, you couldn't see any PNM out there, but you were seeing Team UNC in their boots on the ground throughout the country. And they were our councillors and our older men, our MPs, I said. So you go down to that second area of very great importance to the party. And for me, I've been in the party a very long time. I became leader in 2010. Before that, I was deputy leader. But it's the first time I'm seeing that foundation where the party is alive. Through the councillors, through the aldermen, through the constituency executives. I don't think there was as much empowerment in the councillors, you were there before, in the councillors, aldermen, and in the constituency executives, as we've seen it within the last year, and the last two, especially in this last year. We didn't have it. We didn't have it. I remember when the party had to have a meeting, we said, MP, bring people. MP, you bring people. And everything was dependent on the MPs to bring out people. And then when the MP turned their backs, the party collapsed. Now the party is made up of the MPs, the senators, councillors, aldermen, executives, and then the soldiers on the ground. That is a very, very important thing. Because when you see an MP back on you, it means that whole constituency is lost. We saw that many times. I saw it in 2015. And if today and then I had depended on MPs to take the party forward, this party would have collapsed. So I want to thank those MPs who stayed and put, those MPs who continue to work, and of course the rest of the base of the party. You are the most important in taking the party forward. So in all the years I've been in this party, it is only within the last 2 years, not even when we were in government, because so we were so busy too. It is only the last 2 years I've seen the empowerment of the members of the party at the constituency level and at the level of local government. I want to also pay tribute to the MPs and senators. I started because I have seen in the parliament from when we were recorded loss in September, in the last 2 years, I've seen our MPs get a fire in their belly, our senators with fire in their bellies, fighting inside of the parliament for the benefit of people of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's thank them. So when people come and say, this MP ain't doing nothing, senator doing nothing, councillor doing nothing, in their view, nobody doing nothing, when in fact the person complaining is the one doing nothing. Because if you were doing, you would know the work, wouldn't you? If you were involved in the work that was being done, you would know what is happening. But when you're not doing nothing, it means nobody else doing nothing. You don't even know, you don't even go to a meeting. You don't even give a 5 cents or $1 when you see flood-hit people or poor people come by, a child is sick. But when you are involved and you're helping, then you know your party is working. So I call upon you to be involved. Don't sit down and say, MP waste of time, senator waste of time, councillor waste of time, executive waste of time, when you yourself, as I say, will not come to one meeting, will not even listen to the meeting, will not send out one email, will not make one phone call, will not write one letter to the editor, but the party doing nothing as far as you're concerned. Why? As I said it, because you are doing nothing. But there are many others, there are thousands of others in our great party who have been working. Sometimes when I look at the social media, it is so flooded with posts, you know, on the Facebook and whatever, on websites. I see so many UNC people out there putting out things. I opened some blog the other day, and when this whole Chinese fiasco, the visit and the on-visit and so on, took place, I went up on this blog and I'm seeing somebody found pictures, Suraj, of when I was in China, and they were putting up all these pictures. I didn't do it, but some UNC person obviously found these pictures of when I went to China with our delegation, and the pictures are getting really, really good. So whoever it is, thank you very much. Thank you for putting them up. And then when you see things happen, you know, the PNM says X, somebody's quick up with something to show them it's a lie. So keep it up. As I say, social media is great because nobody is censoring what you do or say. People tell me they write letters to the editor all the time, and not one is ever printed. But we understand because the print media only has limited space, you know, so they cannot print every letter they receive. I'm being very kind to them. They cannot print every single letter. And that's why we use the social media. You can put it up, you can put up anything. But I want to call upon you. There are some people on the social media, and I have to ask you if it's any of our supporters, do not engage in any racist comments on the Facebook and on the social media. You can talk about performance, you can make jokes and so on, but I will not, as a leader of our great party, and I think none of us will condone or agree with racist comments being placed on that social media. Because you see, I said it before, we have come out of slavery together. We have come out of indentureship together. We have come out of first cane fields, then rice fields, then oil fields. We have all come from that base, that together we could stand side by side, every creed and race, to find an equal place. And so stop it, desist anyone if you're engaged in that kind of activity. We don't need that. We need every single body, regardless of where you're from, regardless of who you are. We need every one of you, side by side, holding hands, so that we can be strong, united, we can take our country back to good governance. Do you agree with me? I thought I would share that tonight because someone brought it to my attention. And another issue I was asked to bring to your attention is the way in which this government is really brutalizing and abusing people in the country. So they come with their threats, they lock up people, lock up you, lock up who and who. But you know what is happening? They're not paying contractors. And contractors to them is a bad word when it suits them. But they're not paying people who did work and suffering people. But Sven has already told you, millions on audits, millions on review, millions on legal fees, millions in costs and damages. But they will not pay people for work done. That is a spite and malice in this government. Spite and malice. But every rope has an end, you know. Every rope has an end. And they are so bold-faced. After 2 years, they still want to blame Kamala and the partnership. Up to their convention recently, blame Kamala. Blame the partnership. I think somebody told me today that one of their former ministers was saying 20 years from now, they'll still be blaming Kamala and blaming the partnership. So when this Chinese business arose, you know what they did? They say blame the partnership. When the Chinese uninvited them, they say blame the partnership. You ever hear more? I mean, madness. It is madness. Everything that they cannot do, they blame us. But 2 years and more months later, that blame game is not going to work, you know. It has become a joke. It's a standing joke. So when somebody told me today to read on yesterday's paper the fake oil issue, on the fake oil issue, where the lawyers for AV drilling, they're now saying, look, it's not we, you know. If you find this thing, whatever, it's not us, it's not us. They say blame, and somebody thought he was going to say blame Kamala again. It's a joke. But they said blame Petrotrin. That's what they said, blame Petrotrin. And reminded you tonight, I had forgotten that when I first raised this issue, the Honorable Prime Minister Keith Christopher Rowley went on national TV to say the opposition leader, as me, was engaged in geometry. Where is the geometry now? Where is it now? We were totally justified in raising that matter. And if I did not raise it, you wonder if anybody would have brought it to the forefront. And let us not forget, it is not just AV drilling, but as a PNM operative, a PNM candidate who fought me twice, 2 elections straight. Of course, he lost. in the constituency of Superior. That PNM operative is at the heart of this matter. He must not escape. So whilst I have called for, first of all, an immediate criminal investigation into this matter, for the police to take possession of all the records before they disappear, all documents, reports, and supporting documents, bring in the fraud squad, okay? That must happen. On the other level, the contract for AV should be suspended at this time, if not terminated, whilst that investigation is ongoing. At the same time, that Vijay Devki Singh PNM man should be also suspended whilst his investigation is ongoing. Okay? And then Faris Alwari up to Friday in Parliament, but for 2 years, follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. Well, let them follow the $70 million and freeze the assets of AV drilling to the tune of the missing $70 million. So look, as I close, Prime Minister Rowley, when asked about this fake oil, you know, he said he called his friend, AV Drilling, and he also called Devki Singh, by the way. He didn't call Minister of Energy, he didn't call Board of Petroleum, that's what he did, and he said geometry and so on. You know what he's now saying when they asked him? When this latest report came out proving the issue was true, he started to speak about fiscalized oil. That's his words. It's about fiscalized oil. Mr. Rowley is pure fake oil, somebody thief, and somebody has to go to jail for this matter. And that somebody might be your BFF, your bestie, your best friend. So friends and members of the UNC, remember on the 26th, you see how God is great? When I started, my voice had... So I think it's a cough medicine Greg gave me. It started to work. God is always great. I stand with you. I know you stand with me. On November, let us show them, let us teach them a lesson. They're all thinking now that people complacent will not come out. Let us show them, you know what? I saw for the Congress, within a few days we had that National Congress. And it was like, you know, I look at a lot of history movies. I like to look at history things. And when you look at battles taking place, and then you see first of all, you see some troops and the leader. And then every minute just is growing and is growing and is growing until the enemy is totally surrounded by the troops. I saw that at the Congress down at the Shiva Boys the other day. I mean, it was like thousands. I was told there were about 3,000 people came to that Congress. I want to thank you all for your love for your party, for your support for your party. So let us encircle the enemy on November 26th. Mobilize your teams and bring them out full force on Sunday, November 26th. May God bless you, and I thank you all very much. Right. I made it. I'm excited. Thank you. Great, thank you.
Brothers and sisters, we thank you for joining us this evening. And we remind you that for those members of Point-A-Pear, you can vote at the Union Presbyterian School. And we'd like to thank all of those who made this meeting possible. The executive members of Point-A-Pear, Tabakit, the MP office staff, as well as we'd like to thank the members of the media. We remind you of the meetings tomorrow will be held at the Esmeralda Community Center from 5:30, Esperanza Community Center at 5:30 p.m. and then from 7 p.m. at the Calcutta No. 2 Recreation Ground.